In a small village surrounded by tall trees and green fields, two beautiful twin girls were born into the world. The twins were named Sarah and Emma, and their parents were overjoyed. The villagers came to visit, bringing gifts and blessings for the newborns. They marveled at the sight of the twins, as it was rare for twins to be born in their village. Among the visitors was an old wise woman, known for her knowledge of the future. She looked closely at the twins and smiled, her eyes twinkling with mystery. "One of these twins," she said, "will grow up to be extraordinary and do great things." The villagers gasped in excitement, eager to know which of the twins it would be. But the wise woman didn't say anything more, leaving everyone guessing. Years passed, and as Sarah and Emma grew older, something began to change. Sarah started to blossom into a strikingly beautiful young girl. Her skin was smooth and soft, and her long black hair shone under the sun. Wherever she went, people couldn't help but notice her. The villagers would stop her on the street to compliment her beauty. "Look at Sarah. Isn't she just the most beautiful girl you've ever seen?" they would say. Emma, on the other hand, didn't receive the same attention. While she and Sarah once looked the same, as they grew, their differences became more noticeable. Emma's skin was rougher, and her hair lacked the shine that Sarah's had. Although Emma wasn't ugly, standing next to Sarah made her feel invisible. At first, the girls didn't notice much difference between them. They still played together, laughed together, and enjoyed their time as sisters. But soon, the villagers' words began to affect them. People would give Sarah gifts, invite her to special events, and praise her endlessly. "Sarah, you're so beautiful," they would say. "How lucky you are." Sometimes people would even tease Emma, not realizing how much their words hurt her. "Emma, maybe Sarah can give you some of her beauty," they would joke. Though they didn't mean to be cruel, these words left a deep mark on Emma's heart. Slowly, the joy Emma once felt began to fade, replaced by sadness and jealousy. As the compliments for Sarah continued, Emma's feelings of jealousy grew stronger. It was hard for her to understand why people treated her differently, simply because she didn't look like her sister. She missed the days when people treated them both the same. But now Sarah was always in the spotlight, and Emma felt like a shadow. She thought to herself, "Why does everyone love Sarah just because she's beautiful? Why don't they see me for who I am?" The more people praised Sarah, the more Emma began to resent her sister. She didn't want to feel this way, but the jealousy inside her kept growing. She wished that Sarah wasn't beautiful anymore, hoping that if Sarah lost her beauty, the villagers would stop treating her like she didn't matter. One night, Emma lay in bed, unable to sleep. She stared up at the ceiling, thinking about all the times she had been ignored because of Sarah's beauty. An idea began to form in her mind. It was a dangerous thought, but Emma couldn't shake it. If Sarah wasn't beautiful anymore, maybe things would change, she thought. And with that, Emma began to plan. The next morning, while Sarah was out playing with some friends, Emma quietly prepared her plan. She heated a pot of water until it was boiling, then carefully placed it on the edge of the table in their small kitchen. Emma knew that if the pot was nudged just a little, it would fall over and spill the hot water. Her heart pounded in her chest as she called out to Sarah. "Sarah, can you come here? I need help with something," she shouted, her voice shaking slightly. Sarah, always eager to help her sister, came running without a second thought. She smiled as she entered the room, not suspecting anything. As she reached the table, the pot tipped over just as Emma had planned. The boiling water spilled all over Sarah, burning her face and arms. Sarah screamed in pain, collapsing to the floor as tears streamed down her face. Emma froze, shocked by what she had done. She hadn't expected the water to cause so much pain. Fear and guilt washed over her as she watched her sister cry. Their parents rushed into the room, horrified by what had happened. They quickly treated Sarah's burns, but no matter how hard they tried, Sarah's skin was forever changed. The once beautiful girl was now covered in scars. No one knew that Emma had set the trap. They all believed it was an accident, but Emma knew the truth, and the weight of her secret pressed down on her like a heavy stone. After the accident, everything changed for Sarah. The villagers, who once adored her beauty, now looked at her with pity or discomfort. Her once smooth skin was now scarred, and her hair no longer shone as it had before. People whispered as she passed by, saying things like, "Poor Sarah. She used to be so beautiful." Sarah, who had once been the center of attention, now felt like a stranger in her own village. No one praised her anymore, and the gifts and compliments she had once received disappeared. She felt alone, abandoned by the people who once loved her. Emma, on the other hand, got what she had wished for. Sarah was no longer the beautiful one, and the attention she once received was gone. But instead of feeling happy, Emma felt worse than ever. She had thought that if Sarah lost her beauty, everything would be better. But now, seeing her sister in pain, Emma's guilt only grew stronger. Whenever people said unkind things about Sarah, Emma would defend her. "She's still my sister," Emma would say, trying to protect her. But deep down, Emma knew that she was the cause of Sarah's suffering. In the days following the accident, Sarah started noticing something strange about herself. It began one evening when she was helping her mother prepare dinner. As she poured water into a pot on the fire, a few drops splashed onto her hand. Normally, the heat would have made her pull back in pain, but this time, Sarah felt nothing. Sarah's heart raced. How could this be, she wondered. She tested it again, this time dipping her fingers into the hot water. To her surprise, it still didn't hurt. The heat, which would have burned anyone else, had no effect on her. Over the next few days, Sarah continued to notice more odd things. She would reach out to touch something hot, like a burning log in the fire or a cooking pot, and it wouldn't hurt her. Once, she even walked barefoot across the warm sand under the blazing midday sun, but instead of feeling the heat, it felt cool to her. At first, Sarah thought maybe her body was still numb from the accident, but as time went on, she realized that this was something different. It was as if the burns from the hot water had somehow made her immune to heat. No fire, no hot water, no burning sun could harm her anymore. Sarah couldn't help but smile, a sense of wonder filling her heart. "What does this mean?" she thought. "Am I different now because of the accident?" Even though she had uncovered something extraordinary, Sarah knew that her new ability was a secret she had to keep. The village was filled with fear and superstition. If they found out that she could walk through fire and not be burned, they might think she was cursed or possessed by evil spirits. They might reject her even more than they already did. So Sarah decided to keep this part of herself hidden. But in her heart, she knew she was no longer the same girl she had been before the accident. She had changed, in more ways than one. One afternoon, while Sarah was out gathering firewood, disaster struck. Their family's hut suddenly caught fire, and the flames quickly spread. The villagers rushed to the scene, trying to put out the fire, but it was too dangerous to get close. Inside the burning hut was Emma, trapped by the flames. She screamed for help, her voice filled with fear. The villagers stood helplessly, unable to do anything. The fire was too intense, and no one dared to go inside. But Sarah didn't hesitate. Without thinking twice, she ran straight into the burning hut. The flames licked at her skin, but as she had suspected, they didn't hurt her. She pushed through the smoke and heat, searching for Emma. When she finally found her sister, Sarah grabbed her hand and pulled her out of the fire. The villagers watched in amazement as Sarah emerged from the flames, completely unharmed with Emma by her side. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. How had Sarah survived the fire without a single burn? That night, after the fire had been put out and everyone had gone home, Sarah and Emma sat together in silence. The night air was cool and the stars twinkled above them, but the weight of what had happened hung between them. Emma looked at her sister, her eyes filled with tears. She couldn't keep her secret any longer. "Sarah," she whispered, her voice trembling, "I have to tell you something. The accident with the hot water, it wasn't an accident. It was me. I was jealous of you. I wanted you to lose your beauty, so I made the water spill. I'm so sorry. I didn't know it would hurt you so much." Sarah was silent for a moment, letting Emma's words sink in. She had never imagined that her own sister could do such a thing. But as she looked at Emma, she saw the pain and guilt in her eyes. "I forgive you, Emma," Sarah finally said, her voice soft and full of understanding. "We're sisters, and this happened for a reason." Emma wept, overwhelmed by her sister's kindness. She vowed to never let jealousy control her again. She realized that true beauty wasn't about how someone looked. It came from the love, kindness, and courage inside a person. And Sarah, though she was no longer praised for her outer beauty, became known for something far greater, her bravery and her big heart. The villagers finally understood that it was Sarah who was the extraordinary twin, just as the wise woman had foretold all those years ago. If you were Sarah, would you forgive Emma for what she did to you? I hope you enjoyed this story. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting stories like this. Thank you for watching and see you next time.